And now our next speaker is Nadav Sagir, the CEO of Control Art. I hope I pronounced that well. Nadav has specialized in the field of 3D and augmented reality content creation and development. Today he will give us a practical guide to real-world applications of augmented, mixed and virtual reality. Let's hear how we can augment our reality with technology. Nadav, the stage is yours.
Hey everybody. So good morning to all. My name is Nadav Sagir. I'm from the Control Art Studio, Ljubljana. And we're specialized in augmented reality and virtual reality and a lot of stuff in cultural heritage. I will just start to say who we are. We are a lot of actually creatives, also a lot of software and development. If you look at the character that I'm showing you here, this is real time. It's not a render, it's actually real time running on an iPad, so it's part of the things that we try to do is create shaders, create realistic augmented reality effects. So just to maybe to start from basics, what is augmented reality? So we have our physical reality around us, and using devices such as mobile phones or wearables, which I'll show later, we can add content on this reality. So such as 3D animation, text, images, audio, as well as like triggering things from the space around us. And I will start. So I will talk in this talk a bit about our experience. We're doing this for over 7-8 years, and we have some nice, I think, real-world experiences with these technologies. And the first thing I would like to say is there's a lot of terminology. What is the difference between AR, MR, and VR? So in the sense of wearables, what I like to think about is that AR is adding content to our reality through a see-through device. So for example, if I have Epson glasses, which we use, we see our reality and we can add to it. Virtual reality, of course, we're totally immersed in another world, in another reality. And MR, which is a new and interesting one, such as the new Apple glasses that will come, has an amazing experience, but it is a video representation of reality through video. So what can happen with that? For example, for industry, for surgical beings, it is a bit different because we're getting a video feed of our reality and we're adding and mixing into it. With augmented reality through wearables such as Epson or see-through or HoloLens, whoever tried, we are actually getting this more accurate reality. So if you can think about practical cases in the world, such as, I said, medicine or this, I think the augmented reality will put. A bit about AR and the possibilities that we see, and it is about breaking physical boundaries. So, for example, we can extend a complete, looking at ruins of a castle and extend totally its existence, giving contextualization to objects and to subjects. So if I look at a vase or an old piece, we deal a lot with cultural heritage, so that's our main outlook. And of course, a lot of exciting new user engagement and storytelling through this group. I will try to play this video, or you can help me with that.
This is an ex-monastery which was built in the 12th century, and this is actually the most important cultural building in our municipality. We are trying in every way to give its message forward to the future generations. It doesn't mean only building stones and putting them together, but it actually means giving content to the walls and to the site itself. But now, with Epson glasses, you have the chance to actually visualize how deep this story actually is, because of course your imagination is working better with the vivid pictures from the AR.
It's like a totally new thing for me, like for Slovenia. I've been in Žička Kartuzija 5 times and I've never seen something like this. It's a new edition and I think it's a good investment into the future.
We are an augmented reality company. We've been dealing with augmented reality technology for the past 5-6 years. We're very much specialized in cultural heritage. So we've started working with Epson about 3 years ago, seeing that this product actually answered a lot of our needs. We think it brings a new way of giving this experience in tourist sites or cultural heritage, which hasn't been done before.
So this video I actually like to show because I'm a lot younger in that time, but to give a bit of a glimpse of our studio and what we do. Now, another thing before we get forward, I just want to talk a little bit about user behavior. And the image I have here in front of us, which is a bit old, if you see 2005, the Pope inauguration, 2013, pretty obvious, the use of cameras and photographing. Users, as we see, have no shame. They like to record memories. They're totally into social networking and sharing everything we do. I know we all shared a picture of our lunch at a nice restaurant, and they have expectations to have content available at every step. So that's also really important, and this is something that we are trying to leverage with augmented reality. Is it skipping to the next one? And, no, one back, I think. So just in the last picture that I'm showing in this series, this is Hillary Clinton 2017, and what I want to show here is actually everybody, nobody's looking at her. Everybody's me and the subject. So I think this is actually important to understand, and we are leveraging that a lot with our projects in the sense of, because in augmented reality, of course, you also have the AR filters that you can put yourself and share. We're doing that in some context of historical projects, which I'll show next time. I think we will talk here about I still think it's a novelty, it's a crowd puller. People are excited to see this from deep companies, to see we're always searching to augment our reality. I did that a bit yesterday with Slivovika, so I understand what that does. And I think that the last part which we'll discuss is, I think, very interesting, is the user database and the data that we're collecting through AR, which is actually, AR has a few levels. There is, of course, the visuals, what we see, the objects, the 3D animations, but actually I think there's a lot more to it and a lot more levels that can be used for different fields. I will show a nice, really large project we did in Jerusalem. It's called Cardo Tours. You'll play the clip for sure.
Let me tell you more about the history of this wonderful place.
Just a few words on this project, because I think it taught us a lot. Main idea here, and you see the photo ops that are coming here at the end, that was the main pull of the project. People, it's not just standing and taking a picture, people had to pose with the characters that they studied on the lesson. This street in Jerusalem, I don't know if everybody has been there, we had to put this project a bit down after Corona, but the idea here, this is the main Cardo street between the Holy Sepulchre and the Nia Church. It's about 2 million visitors that pass through this location. Now, all of them were going and exploring, and the project goes over about a couple of 100 years of history with characters and discussing, and at the end you can be part of the experience. So the idea about being part of this experience is really important to us, and I think that was the photo moment at the end that you collected. It wasn't just standing still, you had to participate. You had to defend Jerusalem and make poses with it, which I think got people to be activated. It's also something interesting that we learned different cultures behave differently. Some are much more open to jump around and to try to be engaged in the content, and some are much more shy and needs to be enhanced. Now, from behind the scenes of these things, what we also saw with our system was, if the Cardo Street had 2 entrances from 2 locations, 2 million visitors going through it in a year, we knew with our system, because with the augmented reality, we are having actually people holding a tablet or a phone, or later on with glasses, we actually know not just their GPS location, we know what they're looking at. And we know how many people are in one crowd, in one entrance to another. So I will go into that idea of this data that we are collecting, because it's a very important part for the tour management, was to basically say, okay, if in one area we saw suddenly a group of 30 people are coming in, the tour automatically switched to pull the other ones from another area. The tour was built from a few chapters that were automatically mixed by the amount of people and where they were positioned in this location. So it's something very interesting, I think, to think about with AR because, and I will repeat this term again, that we have actually the eyes of the user. And we will see that in the next example. I think because of the video, I cannot click the slides. Okay. The next video that I'm showing.
Olá, me chamo
Bueno. Hola otra vez. Ay, no, cállate.
So what I wanted to show with this example, and I think it's really also interesting, is that if we do in a shopping mall, for example, an AR app, which is just a cute little game or whatever, we're actually studying the users and what they look at, and this data also can be analyzed in the sense, which shelf am I looking at, where to do and explore this data, where are people more engaged? Think about use cases such as a shopping mall. If we have an app that is a direction app that leads you through the shopping mall where you actually don't have the issue anymore with the GPS because the shopping mall is blocked without the GPS. But at that time, I can augment the reality on the level that we see, that we talked about adding content towards it, but I can also collect a lot of information on the user. And that information can be, I think, afterwards analyzed, seeing which parts of the shopping mall will lead more people in it, which parts are more interesting, and then by that improving our way of looking. So I think this is another, I'm trying to show in this presentation that AR is not just nice animations and characters on top, although we use it a lot in cultural heritage, there's a lot of other aspects that can be improved. Another example of this from Niantic, which is actually, I think also the Pokemon Go, if you guys, anybody tried this game in AR, this is a newer game, Peridot. Maybe play this short video. So what I wanted to show here, and I think some of you understood this idea, is that basically this is this site, you have a creature like a Tamagotchi, you're raising him, you're giving him your characters, your creature is free in the world and walks around, and so far I can meet another creature, and by that it's actually a dating site in a way. It introduces people to friends, so another use of the augmented reality, which is totally, I think, interesting, because it basically takes this idea of how I customize the characters that I like, and I'm raising this character, and I give it pink hair, and I like this kind of clothes, and that kind of matches it with this data that I'm collecting on it matches with the person or that would fit me, and they can meet and introduce me to them. So it's another way to connect to people, which is another, I think, really interesting way to use augmented reality apart. Another example, just to show the different diversities, this is Ingress Prime. Anybody ever heard this game? And played it, yeah. So this is I will play this short and maybe we'll cut this in because I think the interesting, please.
This world is not what it seems.
It's far too dangerous.
How the hell did we let this thing out?
The data, what we are learning, it's incredible.
None of this should be possible. We made this happen.
I did my part, risked everything. How you use it now is up to you.
Where did this come from?
Energy, possibility, past, present, future. That's what I'm after.
trying to understand.
This is the path to what's next. Epiphany, elevation, enlightenment.
Don't be fooled. It's a hostile takeover of the mind, and we're the only things standing in the way.
Work with your teams. We'll break through if we have to.
Fan out and cover as much ground as you can. We've got this.
This much power in the hands of so many.
The status quo has changed. The question is, what next?
Welcome back, Agent.
The point I'm trying to show with this game, this is like, I'm a bit older, I'm going to be 50 soon. As a kid, we used to play out in the street and go between portals. This is the idea here. It's kind of, you have the enlightened group, another group. People actually go outside with their phones to hack another portal, to attack. I know in Slovenia there were like groups of people going around with their phones, looking at the AR and doing it. I think some people here said they played the game, so they understand. What I'm trying to show with this game is actually, this is part of, I think it's from Ninetic, which is owned by Google, and what they did with that is they actually sent, in a way, think about it, this concept, an army of people to scan the world. If you have afterwards Google Street View and Live View, where you see before they would send out cars, and I think we've all saw it on cities around Europe where they're driving the cars and taking the photos. When we got into a more 3D model view where you pick up the camera, because when we are doing AR with our mobile phone, we're actually creating a 3D model of our environment. There's a thing, it's a point cloud that while I will look at the thing and whether I'm looking at a peridot or a character, I'm actually entering an interesting data. I'm collecting all this data, and this data can afterwards be, of course, used. I think this was a nice way to giving people a nice game to go outside, but actually you send hundreds and hundreds of people outside to do some work for you. So again, in that connection to the shopping malls, to other areas, I'm trying to just go with it, and I will show now the last example. I think this is also from MIT. This is a bit out there from the car industry with augmented reality, and we will play this last video. Thank you.
You could sit on your workspace and every object around you, appliances on your desk, your light, your chair, everything around you is not set how it should behave. If you want, you can connect a knob to a light or to two lights and control them. At the same time, that knob could also control the chair that you're sitting on. Or imagine the chair that you're sitting on actually is responsive to the environment. So if you leave, the environment reacts on you leaving because you wanted it, so you set it up. And when you leave, the car that you're driving with home, that actually already started and that already set the air condition in the room perfectly. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, because that car is connected to the seat that you were sitting on. And it is connected because you wanted it that way. And now you drive with this car around, and this car has a lot of functionality in it, but this functionality has been designed for people that are maybe not you, maybe other people, and maybe settings in that car are relevant to you. Something like you have music that has a lot of bass and it's meaningful to you, but it was not meaningful to the designer that was maybe designing for a complete different kind of group. But what if you could reprogram the functionality of that car? What if you can just say, oh, there's a knob and I want this bass function to be controlled by me, and I want to have it physically, and I want to have it in this way when I drive. Or I have all the windows in my car and it's not
life at the end, but I think what was fascinating about this is that using augmented reality again to program the world around us, to customize the world. I think it's a really nice idea. Here he's using some QR codes, which I think are unnecessary today, but just to try to think about what augmented reality can do. Because I think the first level that we always think about is, okay, I can, exactly with us that we're working in cultural heritage, that I can come to a museum, I can walk in the streets of Belgrade and basically see characters come to me and talk and tell me a history or reconstructions of monuments and buildings. I think there's a lot more levels to it, yeah? And I think the levels are what we're especially looking at.
You could
Where we're especially looking at is in cultural heritage. For example, this is a mock-up from a castle in Ljubljana, in Slovenia, in Postojna, that basically we put the knight as a guide that walks you through the place and tells you stories. So it's a lot more engaging content. I have another nice example, and I see this with Museum Sphere. And Museum Sphere is very interesting, and there are two schools of thoughts, because sometimes you don't want to interfere with the art. Let's say if I go to see a beautiful painting in a museum, I don't want to have now 10 million people with phones, although they're probably taking photographs of it. But sometimes I come there because I think, let's say, museums and exhibitions are, in a way, call it a religious space even. Some people come to be alone with the art, so it's always really tricky how to use this technology, how to apply it in the right way. Example that I like to give in Vienna, they used to have this, the 100 years for the Tower of Babel painting. It was exhibited there, and we said, okay, we can come and approach it and do something in the museum, but people are actually coming from all over the world to look at the painting. So the idea that we proposed to them was to actually do outside the museum. Every person can download an app and start building its own Tower of Babel outside of the museum over a month period, putting a message of hope and love or whatever inside each cube of the tower, and slowly creating this image. Of course, the image taking, the photographing this thing is a shareable thing, so people will take pictures. Over time, this Tower of Babel, this virtual Tower of Babel or augmented, will grow. And I think this is a really nice way to approach it, to get people more excited into coming into the museum, to the exhibition. I think if I see in a lot of cities today, the problem with the museums and cultural heritage, they're basically can cost more than going to a Hollywood movie and eating McDonald's at the end and go convince the kids to go see a painting. So I think that this power of these technologies can bridge this gap, can bring people in and actually get them to be more entertained. I think that's kind of the general overview. I would like to hear if there's any questions, and of course I am inviting everybody to come. We have a few demos here where you can see different things on Epson glasses, or as well as virtual reality and augmented reality application. Yeah, thanks.
Do you know anybody who would actually like to live in a world depicted in this supermarket video, which I think is kind of very, very dark satire, which cuts off at the moment of the glitch. But it's already horrible even without the glitch.
This is, and of course, if you probably watch the Black Mirror and all this dystopian future with augmented reality, like every technology, I think you're gonna get this. I think on purpose I put that video. It is supposed to be like this. Our world is going to be immersed with things. I think in reality, I'm very optimistic, and I'm totally believe in these technologies. And I think if it adds you something, so for example, if you go into a shopping mall and you have some, I don't know, today we're getting some exciting animation that greets you and makes your shopping experience better. Because today shopping, as we all know, it's an experience. It's people go to shopping malls. Actually, half of the part of it is for an experience. Then for the actual shopping, you can go online and buy your things. Yeah, but so it has to be a balanced. I think that this balance will be attained. But this is to put. I don't believe in this overload that the Spanish film that I showed you is. But that was to show the possibilities, of course. And I think if you follow a lot of those genres. They are dealing with augmented reality. There's even stories, I think, if you saw in Black Mirror, that you hide the person anymore. You occlude the reality. You can change reality as a. So, of course, like any technology, and I think we talked here a lot, it can be used for good and for other use. Yeah. Yeah. They know every street and every outlook. Yeah, like everything can be used. You're totally right. That's why I put this idea. People have to be smart and aware. But you know, today's world with all technology, I think you're touching a very interesting topic. I think it's a lot of discussion on it. But I think for now, let's say in our aspect, when we're doing, I think the power to actually enhance cultural heritage sites are this. Yeah.
We have time for one more question, but quick one. Try again.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I wanted to ask, how hard is it to invest time into augmented reality, and also what was the implementation of AR in that? Do you need a lot of imagery, or how to get started with that?
I think it's not hard. I think today, we started quite a long time ago, and we started with our own SLAM and our own development. Today you have AR Kit, AR Core, you have a lot of things that are pretty made. Development is pretty, I don't want to say, nothing is simple, yeah? But it is, let's say from beginning that you needed to have computer vision programmers, developers, today to Unity artists that can create this. I think the story is not about technically creating the AR, I think it's about creating interesting and meaningful. And that's why I try to show different ways of AR. I think there's a lot more ways. I'm hoping that younger generation that are going to use augmented reality will find really new things that I didn't even think of yet. And I'm not talking about just the data collection through objects. There's a big question with that. Yeah, there's a big question with that. With let's say the 3D content is very costly and time-consuming. So a lot of times people just say, for example, think of a tour in the city where I just look around, I see old photos of Belgrade. I do a tour 100 years ago. I have, example, Epson glasses wearing a tour guide that can click on the tablet and give me different videos or feeds. And then I only have 2D images, which are free to get from a database, something really simple to do. Whether the story is exciting or the tour is exciting, up to the creators. And I think that's the main question, not the development here, the what you do with it and which experiences people will create. Thank you.
If you have more questions, we will now go on coffee break so you can ask Nadav. And Nadav, this is a certificate of appreciation.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your talk.